A warm welcome to both of you. I'm sure in the audience we'll be having people using both and consuming both the brands right now. Yesterday I was having a chat with the Pro Vice Chancellor and I told her, Nina Lekhi is coming and she removed a wallet out of her bag and said, see, I'm using Baggett as a wallet. And I've heard so many students using your products and very, very happily so. And today I think it's a very interesting jugalbandi, I would call it. We have an entrepreneur who started on a fashion brand offline and is trying to move offline online and capitalize the online ecosystem. And we have a digital first online brand is also now trying to go offline. So very interesting combination. Let me start with you, Nina. Can you tell us a little bit about your early journey and how did you come to start this brand?
So I'll stand and talk. I think
Please feel free.
okay. If you don't mind, I can even walk in the front today. I like to do that. So how I started. So I failed. So I was very goody girl in school. Okay, chumchi teachers chumchi, and then I went to college and I said college is Greece, right? Saturday night. That was the mode I was in. College में जाके क्या करना है? Party करना है. I went to Sapphires. And they expected you to be there in college from 9 to 5. After that, give you 4 hours of homework. And I said, okay, I'll do the homework, but I'm not going to be in college all the time. So I was all the time out, we had a clique of friends and stuff. And the best and the worst part that happened with me that year is I flunked. So I was such a goody girl in school. I wasn't so goody after the 8th standard because, the hormones change. But that is some other day. Anyways, so when I flunked, I took it really badly. I said, I fail. Like, it wasn't so much कि लोग क्या कहेंगे, but it was like, I'm not a duffer, यार. इतनी बुद्धू भी नहीं हूँ मैं, I thought I must do something. I can't be like a failure. So luckily my parents didn't take off on me and I was very they didn't say anything. But I used to go home every day from Sapphires, that's beach candy, all the way to Worli, home crying. Rain ho, sun ho, kuch bhi ho. I should just be crying all the time. And then I said, no, I have to do something with my life. So I started. And so in the college, they told me, अगले साल आना, जगह नहीं है क्लास में. 30 students की जगह है, that's it. And I didn't know what to do with myself. Luckily, there were 2 part-time courses in that same college, which was interior deck and screen printing. I said, chalo, I'll do something. And that's when I got the idea of, how we have T-shirts with graphics. And I remember the first handbag that I made was I am confused and the S was ulta and that was the state of my mind. And from then on, so I learned screen printing. I luckily didn't do interior deck. I think it's too tiring. Anyways, so from there on, we started the brand. And I had me and one of my classmates, one of my besties, how school best friend, wohi ilake mein rehte hai. We both started the brand together. And how we came up with the name of Baggett, anyone wants to guess? Have you all read or heard about the brand Baggett? Huh? You all know? So, that time was Michael Jackson ka Beat It. Don't you wanna beat? I'm not so good at singing. Beat it. So that's in the swimming pool ke changing room mein, me and my friend Mona came up with the name of Baggett. And it just stuck on. Mona went away to Washington and then I just continued with the brand. And that is the beginning story of tea.
Listen, following up to this walking around is going to be tough. And I have no such amazing story in case you want to ask me next. I mean, at least for us, I've spent my time in the sort of fashion business. I've not, the thing that I'd want to say is that I actually have a graduation in literature, so no connection to commerce or business as such, but spent time styling, started my career off at Elle Magazine. Elle Magazine was fairly new, so one of the founding teams there. Then moved to MTV, again, older now, so rookie producer on all the fashion stuff, and which was MTV Style Check and all the MTV fashion sort of work, right? Post that, started a celebrity agency, which didn't enjoy at all, but again pioneered because it was the first celebrity agency. During that time, what I realized was, when we were trying to style models or actors or any covers or anything that we did in fashion, we didn't seem to have a lot of Indian homegrown brands. Like, guys, I'm not talking about now, which when you open Instagram, you'll have a million. I'm talking about even just 10 years ago, right? There were not that many. You could actually count them on your fingertips, hers being one of them, but you couldn't really style a magazine cover, right? So we sort of knew that there was a gap in the market, and that was times when people were actually getting onto social media and things like that. And we thought this seemed to be a better time to come in with a, elevated essentials brand that would work on Indian bodies, and partnered with 3 celebrities so that unlike today, we could break the clutter at that time. So it was actually quite as simple as that. But interestingly, my background, given that I have none in business as such, for us, the idea that we would need to know much, much more as you do today, whether it is SEO, SEM, digital marketing, all the basics, we actually didn't have most of that. So, going online for us just meant that we would build a brand and people would come, much to realize it's not all of that. So that's how we started the label life.
So, you've started a fashion brand, and it's very tough to start a fashion brand.
Absolutely,
With there's so many options, even globally in India, available. How did you decide on the product, pricing, and positioning at that time?
No, first of all, I think I might not be as all flowers and rose petals, and it's really an easy run. Today, if you had to ask me, and now I wear a hat of an investor because, I run a boutique fund and all of that, I would not pick fashion as a category for anyone to really build, especially in clothing and apparel, only because there's a lot more to sort of deep dive into than just building a brand, right? But having said that, when we decided to put it together, it was just when Zara and H&M were entering, and there was a real need for a homegrown brand that understood Indian women's bodies, because as you know, and the gamut of sizes in this country are nothing close to how Western bodies, female bodies are, right? So that it felt like a gap. Today, not just because I've sold and have nothing to do with the business, but also because in the last post-COVID, you saw an influx of D2C brands. When we built the brand, there was no word like D2C. It was just online and offline, right? But today you see that, you throw a stone and you'll find a brand. Different times, but of course, different ways of managing a brand today. But so did that answer your question?
So tell us about your first year. I think both of you. How did you manage the number of SKUs, inventory? These are genuine, actual questions. How many SKUs to keep? How many, and how much inventory to keep? How do you go offline? How do you go online? Tell us about your first year, first 6 months, first 9 months.
So I don't think I had any idea of SKU या कितने design बनाने हैं. There was no concept like that. So I think it was just जो बैग माइंड में आया या उधर कुछ देखा, adapt it and make it more usable, like how she said, Indian body. Maybe it was just whatever I felt like, what kind of materials I want to use, what kind of embellishments I wanted to do. Take it that way, and then have it in a art gallery, and then you just put it up, and then people. So I used to buy a lot of fabric. You go to Hind Mata. I used to go to Dadar, pick up 2 meter, patch it up. So there was a lot of cloth material, and there was no idea of itna sochna nahi padta tha wo zamane mein.
Wonderful. And we had a lot more science. So the way actually we did it was, and this is something that every business today does, and people do it a lot more effectively than we did, of course. It's just talk to your consumer, right? So keep talking to your consumer, keep collecting data. What are women wearing in their wardrobes? What are the gaps? Like, for example, a white shirt should be in every brand's, collection. So, build that first core product or core offering. Is it a skirt? Is it a top? Is it a dress? Whatever. And we actually made an entire list, interviewed how many people. So we went through like every founding team person at that point had to make X number of calls, figure out how many trousers does a woman have in a wardrobe, how many jackets, etc. So we made this sort of laundry list, and we went through it one by one, right? So, in fact, interestingly, there's a lot of learnings out of it. And now I advise and work closely with a brand called Foxtail. I don't know if most of the girls here use Foxtail, but similar journey, and even in Foxtail, where we interviewed a ton of people, found out what is the if you don't know your consumer, I don't know why you're building a business. It's like sort of, making a movie that no one will watch, right? Then you're doing it for yourself.
Tell us a little more about your research. I'm very curious to understand.
No, it's actually quite simple. If this is your TAM and your target audience, and you're saying you're talking to, say, a 25 to 30-year-old, then you should know that 25 to 30-year-old really well, right? Even in investor pitches. I think for me, when I talk about my journey, given it's been across so many careers, I always say that it may be across careers, but it's really getting to know this Indian woman really well, right? When I got to know her, I was, literally, the story goes that Sushmita Sen became Miss Universe, and as everybody who watches culture knows, that Sushmita Sen's Miss Universe winning also led to the beauty explosion in the country. That's when all the beauty brands came in, and that was at the beginning. I was in, I think, 11th or 12th grade, and I was asked to write a story by an aunt who was an editor on Sushmita Sen. Like, what did I feel as a teenager seeing somebody who is an older teenager, but a teenager winning the crown? And that sort of just led me to sort of, so I always say I grew up with this Indian woman consumer. I mean, I started at a time where people were wearing salwar kurtas to work, and now I'm at a time where women won't wear salwar kurtas to work. I've seen that transition. I'm not saying it as literally, but that I sort of grew up with that transition. So I do feel that I know the Indian woman
I think in
consumer
offline,
well.
it's very simple. You just have to go to the store and stand there. That's what I do every weekend. I'm there in the store for a couple of hours. You just talk to the customer, and she says, okay, she will buy this, she'll buy that. Should I show her this? And you know by what they buy. So I think it's different there.
So I think in the previous panel, I think the larger consensus was accounts, finance is something which, cash flow is something which they've all struggled with. So how did you manage your first 6, 7 months, first 1 year in terms of cash flow, finance, working capital, employees, costs?
Yeah, so I think where I would think, I absolutely agree with the women on the panel, especially if you want to build a business of scale, right? And you want to talk to investors, and you need to show them not just your 30, 60, 90-day plan, but your 5-year horizon and exit and all of that. You need to, I always say to friends that I didn't do an MBA, but the last couple of years of this business definitely beat it out of me, right? I had no choice. And it really it still annoys me when I have young girls coming to me and saying that, oh, I've never used an Excel, or I don't know how to make a presentation. And you have to learn it. I mean, there is really no option. In today's day and age, you can watch a YouTube tutorial for free on how to use Excel. So that can't be, we all had to learn it. I mean, I had to learn it. So yeah, you learn it, but your first 6 months are quite hellish.
Did you manage capital internally? Did you?
No. So I raised almost instantly. I'm middle class Maharashtrian. I promise you, I have no money to do much. But I was an older founder, to be fair. So I think that the pros and cons of, say, a Shark Tank in India would be, the pros are everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. The cons are everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. So I think what I did differently, and I would recommend, is I did it later in my life. So I finished doing my first decade of working across different businesses. Like somebody pointed out rightfully so on the earlier panel, it would be nice if you knew that you had a little bit away, so you're not completely putting it all in. Though I promise you, we all go all in. Otherwise, there's no other way. But yeah.
So, you build a brand when brand was not a normal parlance.
To the same question in a very, very different way.
Yeah.
So when I started, I didn't think of cash flow. Obviously, my story is about 40 years back, okay? But I think even today, there was a lady who was doing some cake photography or whatever other small businesses. I think today in the online world, you can have a small niche audience. You can, find them wherever you are. And I don't think, if you've learned the tricks of the trade for social media or online selling, I don't know whether you really need to worry about cash flow in the first 1 or 2 years, because you can start your business, see whether you really like it, and then you can start worrying about, because you don't have to scale up immediately. It's because there's a lot of younger girls out here. So that's how I would look at it.
Okay, thank you. In terms of a brand, you started a brand at a time that when brand was not normal parlance. How do you go about building that?
Yeah, actually, we didn't even know we were building a brand. It was just manufacturing bags. And then you heard the way Baggett came up. And then you just put up, hand painted the banners, put them up. There was no flex, there was no printer, there was all of that. And then I remember there was a time when Shopper Stop and Lifestyle, they came to us and they said, Hamare liye bhi maal banao. And we said, no, 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 no. At that point, I did think, should I make for them? And then somewhere deep inside me, I had a feel. I said, no, I don't want to make for someone else. Why should I do that? So I think that was a point where we, kind of segregated ourselves from OEM bolte hai, pata nahi kya bolte hai. That was one point. And I think the other big point for us was when we opened our first store at the Atria. This is about 20 years ago. That's when my daughter was born, I remember. And that really made us a brand, I think. And even in today's online world, I think when people are, created successful brands online, the minute you have a presence offline somewhere, so we are looking at international markets. So we are saying, ek dukaan to wo country mein karna padega, shuruaat mein. So I think that is what also makes you a brand. Yeah.
Starting somewhere definitely helps make a brand. I agreed. And I remember we used to come very often to the Atria store and pick up wallets. In fact, she is the lady who showed me the wallet yesterday out of her bag. Yes. So I think this same question for you. Celebrities say a lot of stories and you manage to trio at that. So tell us, how do you manage doing that and get that coup in place?
So, I mean,
that helps your cost of acquisition also.
yeah, no, but very different. I mean, for Nina, obviously, she's built something fantastic, and lead her sort of ahead of the curve. But I think things have drastically changed. I would say not just 10 years ago. I would say 5 years ago, and to me, post-pandemic as well, right? Since I've been sort of watching these businesses so closely, now investing in them, especially in female-run businesses, right? That's sort of my passion and the reason I would even want to come and help you guys, etc. So if you had to really break this up in the last couple of years, when we started off, people actually didn't know what CAC was, right? She's still talking about a time when you could just walk into a store, put a bag, and people would come. But even when we started, people were coming organically, right? So if, say, Malaika said that this is the white shirt to own, absolutely right, people would take her recommendation. 5 years later, if she posts it, you have to still drive traffic to it. You have to still give Meta money. You still have to get Instagram influencers to up that up. Things have changed dramatically over just the last couple of years. Anecdotally, what tech has done or enabled for businesses in the last 5 years hasn't happened in 200 years. So, hello. The last 5 years are insane in every aspect of technology, right? So, I don't think, I think the biggest thing that entrepreneurs can do today is just adapt and learn, right? So somebody on the last panel said AI. And for me, we've invested in an interior business currently, and that person sent me an Instagram recently of wallpapers, and none of them were done by the team, right? It was just pure AI. So a lot will change in businesses, but I lost my chain of thought. But yeah, CAC still remains an issue. I don't know when cost of acquiring a customer will change. I mean, from when we started, which was purely organic, 500 or 700 bucks was a lot, depending on the price of what your product was. Now I hear people even saying acquisition of the first customer is still sometimes even 4,000 or 5,000 bucks, right? So again, depends on how your strategy is, who you're looking at, and everybody, would love to go offline as well, and omni-channel is the way to go today, where you do both. But I mean, now it's a very different market, right? But to her success and achievements, the reality is brand will always last. And I've been saying this for the last couple of times that I've been asked to speak, etc. कि हो गया ये CAC का story अभी will start teetering off, because there was a time when you paid a performance marketer, and that performance marketer's job was say 20 lakh खर्चा करो 50 lakh लेके आओ, and hook or by crook would optimize and make it happen, right? That time will also soon go out, and the only people who will last or be around will be people who created brands. That is the reality, So
So I was at the images show, and I just came back right now. In fact, I just flew up, and everyone was there talking about online is going through huge changes right now, and offline is coming back. And I think that's what even Baggett is banking on, because offline, maybe that's more my core, and just going into a store, I think is still, especially for products which are fashion, you want to touch and feel. There's always a balance. I think we are Baggett, we are 50% online and 50% offline. That's how big online is for us.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think that offline thing is very simple and it's very easy to do. I think every woman can just put up a boutique and put up stuff. Yeah. Then the next phase and the next phase and the next phase. And I think if you have a vision and if you love what you do, you'll find a way. You'll figure a way. Like how you were saying, costing ho gaya jada. It just came in 5 minutes before, the last session. Pandemic came, a lot of things got disrupted. But I think if you really want to do it, na, koi to aayega aapko help karne ko, and you'll find your way. There's always, but only thing is you have to be like, okay, I want to do this. I want to do this. And it is like your 24 hours, 7 is that's all you have to be doing, because, and it's not work, when you love it, it doesn't really feel like work, right? Whatever we love.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, and you touched upon omni-channel, and I think I want to come to that also. You have been a digital first brand going offline, and you have been an offline focused brand now, it's just 50% online. How has that both the journeys been?
We know each other. I think we're in different eras.
Going offline
so for me,
and
I
going
think for us, it seemed like a natural progression. The reason we sort of went online was obviously because the customer is now on social media. We were working with influencers. It seemed like, we could tell our story better online. Also, having worked in fashion magazines and television, imagery or telling the story felt like it would cost lesser, right? Then it was 10 years back, it was a different story. Hence the online decision. The offline decision actually was twofold. Now, again, disclaimer, I've sold the company. So for us, when we started, the reason to go offline was twofold. One is my longtime partner, collaborator in even continued journey is a gentleman by the name of Mithun Sacheti, who built Carrot Lane and recently sold it to Tata, blah, blah, blah. Mithun's stupendous success in how he managed to do online and then build offline, seen one of the largest exits in India, blah, 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 sort of inspired me to say, chalo offline karte hai, right? And what we had noticed is we had sort of begun a sort of segment where we were now selling swimwear, and especially in swimwear, we had started to see a lot of women wanted to try on, etc. That was one. Secondly, we had also started to see a lot of orders, and I know we all do it in this room, and we shouldn't, but we do it, is we order things in 3 sizes, right? Because maybe we think that we are going to fit into a medium that day. Maybe we think that's the day we are feeling like we've got our period, so we'll be a large or an XL. Whatever it is, that really costs brands, right? It really costs us.
True.
It really costs us, guys. So we had seen a lot of that starting to happen, right? People were just ordering in 3 sizes or 4 colors, and then there was a lot of returns. So there was a lot that went into the decision of offline, but largely to see and understand the customer really, right? Having said that, offline isn't cheaper either. And again, today it's evolved. She'll know better than me to answer this, but evolved malls, negotiations of even like cams and things at real estate. It's a lot. So I mean, our decision was different. Having said that, now I know that Label Life is in a lot of Shoppers Stop. to begin with. A lot, 5 offline stores, and the vision of actually doing 100, and like my friends in the business who've done India, or Anita, I saw Dongre, who's done a lot of this. Offline isn't easy either, right? For anecdotally, thankfully, we had only 3 stores when the pandemic happened. But again, she'll tell you better, if you had more than 100 stores or even 50 stores in the pandemic, I don't think I can use bad language in a university. So I'll keep it as you were.
I was leading a brand with
Yeah.
850 stores.
Yeah. So there you
So,
go.
yes.
Yeah.
It was sleepless nights.
Yeah.
No,
So,
I understand.
and apparently it's not the last of the epidemics to happen, right? So we should all be very aware of online businesses are important.
I think it's also just because you started online and you feel offline is difficult. For me, because I started offline, I feel online is more complicated.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just where you began from and what you get used to.
Yeah. Good. No, I don't think offline is difficult or better or worse at all. It's omni-channel. It has to be like, for example, one of the things that businesses like Lenskart is, again, no, why am I using so much? I feel like I'm in college, so I should use bad language, but Lenskart is brilliant only because they have built the perfect omni-channel business, right? You want a pair of glasses, you go in, they'll customize it for you, you leave, they'll tell you which is the closest store that you can get those glasses again at, they'll get you back with a discount. It's basically wherever you are, it should be easy to wear a pair of glasses well and skirt. That's the thing. So it doesn't matter online, offline, on your phone, purchase, buy the pair. That's what the story should be. So yeah.
So finding a financial partner is nothing short of a marriage. A short marriage, hopefully, where you get an exit.
You start with, do you believe in marriage? No, I'm kidding.
That's for another time.
That too, but that's for another time. But yeah, I think for me, I was fortunate because we were discussing mentors before this, and I do think that mentorship is super important, especially for women, right? I'm happy to talk offline also about this because I'm part of different mentorship programs. We are part of women's support. There's a women entrepreneur group that has must have 500 messages by the time I sat down. There's a lot happening in the space, and I do think mentorship is important. For me, actually, an ex-boss had told me that you start a business, I'll give you your first check. And I took him up on that first. Secondly, again, I want to be very, very, very candid about the fact that I am technically someone from a fashion and entertainment background. I actually thought, I'll start this business, I'll get these lovely ladies. Karan Johar will tweet for me. Hrithik Roshan will write a note. Everything's just going to be, or sell everything, right? Because I didn't know what SEO, SEM meant. I didn't know what optimizing a cart was. I didn't know what a customer journey or a funnel, nothing. We just took beautiful pictures because fashion background, beautiful pictures, shot lovely videos, put it on a website and said, go live. That's all we did. And so the first 3 months, we realized that nothing sold. And there could be not just 1, 2, 3 reasons. There are apparently 50 reasons. Whether your homepage works properly, whether your cart has the right payment gateways, whether your customer who came in through what channel. Oh my God. That's when we actually started figuring out that it wasn't going to be as simple as taking beautiful pictures, having celebrity names and beautiful product, right? So we learned much after. But having said that, we came in quite early. So getting my first check was easy. It's the follow-on rounds that are obviously much tougher. And obviously, we don't have all day to discuss whether it's easier on a woman founder or not. It isn't. So, and no, you cannot, Gauri is not here, but no, you cannot use your gender. Actually, I don't know whether it works, doesn't work, whatever it may be, it's not that easy to raise the next round. Sorry, I'm the one who's being bursting the bubble, but yeah.
No, not at all. True. I think you're talking facts because, there's a lot of perception around D2C brands being able to raise money, but I think...
and now, I'm the dreaded investor. So My
You
elder
ask all
sister.
the right questions.
Yeah. Now I feel like I don't even want to say this because I'm sitting across the founder and I feel the pain. So my partner in this process is like, we are making terrible investors because we started this because we were like, nobody listens to the founder pain. But now we're looking and saying, oh my God, no, this is not how it works. So yeah, it's the other side. So
Before I open the floor for questions, I'd like to ask both of you, what gives the women an edge in business?
I don't find any difference, man ho ya woman ho kya.
absolutely opposite answer to no, I think there's not, I wouldn't say an edge. There's a long list of reasons why statistically also women are better CEOs, women are better founders to invest in. So you can Google that. But personally, I do feel that it's just the people don't talk enough about just the top of the funnel, right? A lot of people say, why aren't there enough women in the boardroom? We are 50% of the world's population. That should be exactly how much we have in the Lok Sabha or the parliament, right? So I'm not getting into all of that. But I do think that there needs to be more voices that speak up to say that it is not the same. The reality is it's not the same. If it were the same, we would be the same in the Lok Sabha, we would be sitting in the parliament, we would be sitting in a boardroom, there would be as much carved out for us, or nobody even would need to carve it out for us because it was ours, right? So no, it's not the same. But I mean, there's nothing in the world that can convince any woman that she has the same equal anything as the male counterpart, right? But what I do think that we can do, and stuff like this, mentorship, any partnership, talking more about it. I have always had superb support from all the men in my life. I mean, I always talk about this. I've never made a coffee, done laundry in my house. My daughter's exams, I don't know which one is going on because her father does it equally, if not, I think more, but equally. So, more conversation around this that's saying that if it has to be equal, it's the sharing the load. It is making sure everything is the same. It's unfortunate that women today still say that I'm working and I have to go home and cook and I have to look after. All these conversations have to keep happening because I think I spent a lot of my 20s because, again, I was in a male dominated business like the world is. But I would keep saying that I had to be more hardened, or I spent my 20s not acknowledging the fact that it was different, right? I kept saying, oh, I have equal opportunity. I seem to be doing really well in my career, right? But that may have been me. I think we now, as I grow older, you take people along, you offer mentorship. A lot of my male partners think that I'm doing free work all the time, but it's not really free work. A lot of female founders feel like they can reach out to me because I will help, and that's what I want to sort of make for my daughter and generally the world key. At least the two generations after us don't have conversations like this. And we are not separated for a women entrepreneur. Why is there a women entrepreneurship course, man? Come on. Should have ideally been no need for that by this time, right? It should have been an entrepreneurship course. Yeah. So this is my new thing. Sorry, I can go on the subject forever. That I should say male cricketer, male tennis player. Why? It should be by this time, right?
Because you want to encourage more of them to have confidence to
Correct.
be able to pursue
Precisely.
their dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. I think thank you so much for both of you for your time. Really appreciate it. You've
Thank
been
you.
very insightful and very candid in your own respective delightful ways. We look forward to more interactions in the future, and we'll definitely call upon.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you.